Quapple about 45 minutes ago.
And we're told there's still a few minutes on the clock in this session. Steve?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Now, Larry was just talking about qualifying being interesting. From what we're watching here today, I'm a little apprehensive about what we're going to see tomorrow night.
Oh, I think the good news is the race will be in the evening. It'll be much cooler. What's happening to this racetrack is it's now worn off that new surface. It's down to kind of a slicky surface now. I walked out there a little earlier. It's almost like a little oil is starting to draw up out of this new asphalt. I think it's making the track a little treacherous right now. And what have you got in your hand there, buddy?
Well,
a boomerang?
I've got this piece of splitter.
Yeah?
And I'm thinking about trying to get your attention with it, because I'm going to tell you one last time. This is Darlington. And if you don't respect it, we're going to have a lot more of these pieces before the night's all said and done.
Piece of...
You got me?
Piece of junk.
Hey, the only driver that hasn't practiced in this session, A.J. Allmendinger, might be the smartest guy here.
They got the right idea. I hate to say it, but that's the way you got to do this place. The safest place to be is in the garage.
Taking this thing home in a basket.
Another backup car, third one today, gets rolled out.
Yes,
and there's Allmendinger's car, safe and sound in the garage.
And I think I know what the method to their madness is. Last night, to me, what was probably the most important practice, because it was right about twilight. That's about the time we're going to race, closer to the time we're going to qualify. Rick Vires, A.J. Allmendinger, they know they've got a fast race car. There was no sense in trying to make more practice qualifying runs in this session when the track temperature is way up. Safest place is right down there. We're ready to qualify with that 84 car.
Here are the must qualifiers, and if there is a danger zone, it's probably down at about this point on down. We know Bill Elliott, who is 38th, will race, but the two drivers either side of him, Carpentier, Yaley, Green, and Sauter, are those who are most at risk of missing the show here tomorrow night. Sterling Marlin quickest of those, a nice pickup by Kyle Petty, who now is fourth fastest to the Go or Go Home group, behind Blaney and Nemechek.
And you know what's ironic about the 15 car right there is when the track opened for practice for the first session yesterday, the first car that got a Darlington stripe just on the right side, the 15 car, and unless something happens here in about 30 or 45 seconds, he'll be the last car to get in the wall when the track closes for practice.
An action-filled day of practice at Darlington. We expected no less. Nationwide qualifying is coming up next, and Sprint Cup qualifying to follow. So stay with us on Speed for action all afternoon from famed Darlington Raceway.
Crazy, fast, and wild. That's how they've been describing this racetrack, and that's the kind of action we've seen so far this weekend on the racetrack here at the historic Darlington Raceway. We are in the middle of a full weekend of action among NASCAR's two top series, and we're getting ready for nationwide qualifying coming your way in just a moment here on Speed. Still have a full menu for today. We advise you to be there as nationwide qualifying is coming up next. Then it's Go or Go Home at 4:30, Sprint Cup qualifying when the race cars actually do try to go or go home. Diamond Hill Plywood 200 comes your way at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and then trackside at Darlington features Dale Earnhardt Jr. as a guest, as well as Michael McDowell. Now, the Nationwide Series is finding the same kind of trouble on the racetrack that the Sprint Cup Series is finding. It's getting slick, and only getting slicker as the day goes on. Let's take a look at the happy hour practice, final practice for the Nationwide Series, and that was led by last week's winner on that series, Denny Hamlin, and David Stremme up on speed as well, and the Rusty Wallace Incorporated number 64. The most successful driver ever in that series is Mark Martin. We also see Sam Hornets Jr., Jason Leffler, and Mike Bliss among the fastest in that happy hour practice. Now let's get you down inside the racetrack and join Bob Dillner.
A lot of the Nationwide drivers just sitting down here watching the final moments of Sprint Cup Series practice. I'm with Bobby Hamilton Jr. and looking at this practice session here, what does it do for your nerves for qualifying when you're seeing a lot of these guys kind of get loose and this track gets slicked up, Bobby?
Statistic the other day that was 1 out of 3 of us are going to wreck in qualifying, and I'm the third one, so I hope it starts behind me somewhere. But overall, yesterday was real. I mean, the track is so fast, and you're on the throttle 90% around this racetrack, which is different from what we're normally used to. It's carrying so much speed, so if you just keep it off the fence tonight, Well, here in the next 20 minutes, I mean, just make it through qualifying. That's one hurdle, and then make it through the night without knocking the fence down. I think it'll be okay, because there's going to be some tore-up stuff tonight.
You brought up a good point. You go out third here in this Nationwide Series qualifying session on speed. How much is that going to disturb your qualifying run as far as the guys going a little bit later in this run?
Well, it'll hurt, but if it stays cloudy like this, I mean, looking behind me, there's a pretty good opening. If it stays cloudy, it doesn't matter. You got what you got. And tonight, like I said, Darlington is one of those places you really race the racetrack, and now you really do, except at 3 seconds quicker. So, but overall, if we just get the curlies forward just decent, keep it off the fence, we'll be okay.
You know what I like, Johnny? All these drivers, no matter who you talk to, they're all pumped up and excited to really try the Lady in Black, whether it's tonight or tomorrow night.
You're exactly right, Bob. As wild as it gets around here, drivers still love this racetrack, and the fans love it for the history and all the action we see under the lights here at Darlington each time we come here. Well, we got Nationwide Series qualifying coming your way in just a moment here in the Nationwide Series standings after 11 of the 35 races. It's Clint Bowyer on top of Carl Edwards, but not by much. And then Kyle Busch is just 12 points behind David Reagan, Mike Bliss, and David Rudeman. Looks like kind of a who's who among NASCAR's Sprint Cup Series best on top of this list. But some of the series regulars in Bliss, Keselowski, Jason Leffler, Mike Wallace, and David Stremme are still up there within striking distance of those superstars of NASCAR. If they don't run the full series, miss a couple of races, we could see quite a battle up top there in the top 5. Let's go back to Bob.
Well, how about this, Johnny? Brian Clausen right here, first time here at Darlington. Well, it's always tough coming here, especially if you're a first-timer, but how about especially with this new pavement here? Is it an advantage or a disadvantage to be running your first race with this new pavement?
You know, I think a little bit of an advantage, but just because it's new for everybody. But, you know, Darlington's been pretty tough to me already. I've gotten a couple stripes and, you know, found where that outside wall is on both ends. So, you know, we're going to try and do our best to race the racetrack here today and, you know, try and stay out of trouble and be there at the end.
I want to know, though, you know, in the military they say you have to earn your stripes, right? So down here in the garage area, a lot of people joke about earning your stripes here at Darlington, too. Did they kid you about that a little bit, the crew?
Yeah, you know, they gave me a hard time. I think I hold the record for being the first to hit the wall here on the new track. I pulled out of the garage and went ahead and got it over in 1 and 2 and got it out of the way early. But, you know, we definitely earned our stripes that first practice set and struggled a little bit. But Brad Parrott and all the guys on the Fastenal Dodge did a great job, you know, adjusting on the car and getting me comfortable. And, you know, we were in the top 20 there the last practice set and, you know, still getting faster. So we're really excited about today.
How fast are you going to be in qualifying here?
You know, hopefully really fast. We didn't make a mock run. We just concentrated on our race runs. It was so cold last night. It wasn't really going to simulate much of what we were going to see today. So, you know, we went ahead and scrapped that idea, and we're just kind of a crapshoot here. But, you know, we made a couple adjustments, and, you know, hopefully we'll be able to hold it wide open through 1 and 2 and come out the other side. So we should be pretty good.
How about that, Johnny? Holding it wide open. Tough for anybody, let alone a rookie here at Darlington.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, Bob, we'll call that intestinal fortitude is what you have to have. And, Bob, before you run away on us, let me ask you really quickly, as the day is progressing, we're seeing some, I guess, a little bit of the oil seep up out of the asphalt and just making it as slick as it can be.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it, actually. If I'm sitting towards turn 1 right here and I just look at the racetrack and you see it's almost got a sheen to it. Darrell Waltrip just spoke about that here on Speed just a moment ago. And you got to think that, you know, you look at that racetrack right there, and the driver's got to see it too, and you got to go into the corner and just go, I hope this baby sticks. Johnny?
And they got some grip down there, but as the day progresses, it gets slipperier and slipperier, and that makes it more and more treacherous. That's kind of a hard word to say, but it's much harder to actually drive it. There's one of the best drivers ever in the Nationwide Series, the winningest, Mark Martin, as he gets ready to qualify. We'll be back with that qualifying after the break.
Following a caution-filled practice session for the Sprint Cup cars, the Nationwide Series is ready for knockout qualifying here at Darlington Raceway. 46 entries, 3 cars to go home, and Brad Teague, the veteran from Tennessee, is up first. He has 19 starts at Darlington, including a second-place finish in this race in 1985. Mike Joy with Hermie Sadler and Jeff Hammond for this qualifying session. Now that the Sprint Cup cars are done knocking the wall down, it'll be the test of speed for the Nationwide Series. Now, all of their practice was yesterday.
Michael, you say that that's got to be what's really challenging right now for these guys. This racetrack is going to start changing. I mean, from the time they drop the green flag or basically open the gates here, it's going through transitions. Right now, it's hot, it's slick, and all of a sudden, I've not been out there in how long?
Yeah, on top of that, Jeff, these guys just sat there on pit road and watched all these Sprint Cup cars hit the wall, spin out, crash. Very unnerving for these guys getting ready to go back in these nationwide cars right now.
And the important part about that, too, we're not talking about a guy that's back there at 35th or 36th in points. We're talking about the defending Cup champion. You know, guys who race around here internationally like Robbie Gordon. People, I mean, they should have this racetrack somewhat figured out maybe. This place, if you do not respect it, we're going to talk about it till we get out of here, Mike. This is a racetrack that you have got to respect. I don't care what kind of shape it's in. It'll reach out and grab you.
Brad Teague's quickest lap, his first lap, 29.84. Now that's only about 0.4 off of Denny Hamlin's pole speed from last year. The new pavement here at Darlington has everything to do with that. We found a number of drivers up into the fence, and a couple of them spun around, and 5 Cup drivers having to haul out backup cars. It's a tall order to ask these fellows to practice yesterday, come out here, qualify this afternoon, and they'll race this evening, Herman.
Well, you're exactly right, and a lot of pressure on the driver here. You know, not because it's a tough racetrack, Jeff, but because right here in turn 1, when you go on the racetrack, your crew sits right there, and they tell you, you got to run wide open in 1 and 2 to run a fast lap, and they sit there and watch these guys and make sure. But some of the guys, I talked to Denny Hamlin, he said he can run wide open, he's uneventful. David Reagan says, I snuck up on it, and the first lap I ran wide open, I tagged the wall, Jeff Hamlin.
Well, the thing is, again, you've got to respect this racetrack. We know that they've got that restricted horsepower this year in the Nationwide Series. It tempts you to run through these turns wide open. But the key thing is we watch Bobby Hamilton Jr. making his qualifying attempt. We're watching him right now. He's looking like he is on definitely a pole run for the moment. But you've got to respect this racetrack. And these guys that are locked in, Mike, that's where you've got to be smart and realize it's better to start back in the field a little bit than have to go to a backup car with just so few hours to prepare one. So I think you've got to be smart early part of qualifying. The further we get into it, when it comes to knockout qualifying, well, then that's when you got to throw caution to the wind.
Hamilton's first lap is a new track record for the Nationwide Series. Brian Newman in 2001 ran a 28.87. Bobby Hamilton Jr. has blown that away by half a second.
Mike, you disappoint me. I wanted some of that real good feeling like we get in Indianapolis when they do that kind of stuff. We have a new track record.
He probably knows we're going to hear that about 20 more times in this qualifying session.
Are you going to build up
so he's
that
pacing himself.
Yeah, don't use it all up on the first shot, Jeff.
Oh, me.
Krista.
Well, we were talking about drivers who kind of done it all. Well, what about Mark Martin? He is back in the Nationwide Series, and it's the first start since that win at Las Vegas. And is he any good at this racetrack? Well, how about 8 nationwide wins? Some guys who make starts don't even cross the finish line 8 times. He's done it first 8 times, so definitely look for the number 5. He's already rolled out, and he'll be taking his qualifying laps very soon.
Thanks. Brian Clausen up next, second in Rookie of the Year points. Making his first Darlington start. He's in the Fastenal Dodge, and it's his 7th start of 2008.
I tell you something else, Mike. To a guy like Mark Martin, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, somebody has an opportunity today to get in this record book for the Nationwide Series. This racetrack is probably not going to get any faster over the next couple of years. So whoever sits on the pole for this race tonight will probably be in the record book here at this racetrack for quite some time.
Well, if you remember Ward Burton, he's held the track record since 1996, Mike, and it's in jeopardy being broken later on this evening when the Sprint Cup cars go back on the racetrack. But like you say, that's a very good point. You have an opportunity to put your name in the record book probably for quite a while to come.
Bobby Hamilton's stay as the track record holder may be short. Brian Clausen.
You might get another chance, Mike. You might get another chance. Tune it up.
Jeff's turn this time.
But you know what I'm talking about, Mike. I just think it's so impressive when you hear guys.
All right, Jeff.
Really. We have a new track record.
28-25.
Pretty impressive run right there, guys.
Here's Matt.
But the good news is Bobby Jr. was the first one to break the track record, but it only lasted about a car. But still, describe your performance on the racetrack. How'd the car feel?
This place has got so much grip. Hats off to Darlington Speedway. I mean, you run around here about wide open, and that's unusual for this place. We're actually just a little bit tight, but overall, Carly's Barbecue Floor Fusion was good. And tonight, I think we'll be okay, but if you can just keep it off the fence on both sides as usual, but I'm going to tell you they're going to tear some stuff up tonight, so we're looking forward to it.
Where can we find Curly's Barbecue?
Any of the stores around here. They got them everywhere, brother. Go get you some.
Excellent.
Kyle Busch on track. He has a pole here set in this race in 2004.
Looks to me like he's got a boo-boo on the right side, too.
Looks like he got through 1 and 2 as bad as fast or faster than anybody else has today so far, even with that boo-boo on the right side. When you get that boo-boo, Jeff, you know what your limit is.
He always knows where his limit is. I can promise you that. But look like they've got still a little bit of work to do on that number 32 car. And, well, here we go again. Your turn, Hermie.
Well, I'm going to see if he gets it again, because lap 2 for him, knowing the way this guy puts the hammer down, this lap here may even be faster than lap 1.
Right now it's 3/100ths quicker than the first lap. And he is almost 9/10 of a second quicker than Ryan Newman's track record that has held up since 2001. Fell off right at the end. But still, Kyle Busch is the 3rd driver to break the track record.
Chicken. you got out of that one, didn't you, Herbie?
Coming up, DJ Kennington, Mark Martin, and David Stremme. DJ Kennington in the MC Squared energy drink. University of Illinois Dodge. He has run all 11 races this year. 22nd in points, but this is his first trip to Darlington.
I'd like to know what he's thinking right about now. Just how fast do I really need to go? And will they call me a chicken if I don't break the track record?
Jeff, what do you think? I take a guy like DJ Kennington. You think it's better for a driver to come back who's been here through the years when the track was old and worn and then have the new feeling of the new pavement, or you think it's better for a guy to come here first time and not know what the old track was like?
Oh, I got an answer for that. Darrell taught us that a long time ago. I think Michael backed me up on. You don't know what you don't know. He has no idea what he's getting into as far as Darlington is concerned. He's heard the horror stories. He's heard all about how it used to be, and now it's kind of like he's getting basically an unfair advantage because he didn't have any bad memories of it. He's just understanding, hey, this place is smooth. It's fun.
No memory and little imagination.
Exactly. Right. And that could be dangerous.
But to get to the checkered flag tonight, I agree with Darrell. You need a driver who respects this place and what can happen if you let your guard down at least a little bit. DJ Kennington is 4th of 5 right now. Krista?
Well, Mike, you talk about a driver with momentum coming off the Cup win in Richmond. That would be Clint Bowyer. And I was down there. Your family was like celebrating like crazy. They were hugging me, and I don't even like to hug. It was wild. But now we're at Darlington. Quite a different scenario, Richmond to Darlington.
Yeah, it was. You know, it's just quite a bit different animal out here. The nationwide car is pretty good. The Cup practice was pretty much a disaster, but you know, just trying to search for some grip out there. But I think the nationwide car will be fine.
All right, he kind of seems bummed, but it's going to be okay. Clint Bowyer's going into his race car to qualify for the nationwide race.
And Mike, that doesn't really surprise me. As we watch Mark Martin, a guy I'm sure is just tickled to death to be back here at Darlington. It's his kind of racetrack. Seems like the more difficult the racetrack, the better the Mark does. But I can understand how Clint could be frustrated. This racetrack will do that to you. I don't care if it's had a facelift or not. This racetrack is so challenging.
Mark in the GoDaddy.com Chevrolet. Going to be 4th on his first lap. He has run 28 nationwide and Busch Series races here. That's tied for the most with Dale Jarrett. He has the most wins, the most poles, the most laps led, the most top 5s, and the most top 10s here of anybody.
That means he likes it. He's put it this way, maybe he doesn't like it, but he definitely respects it.
And I tell you, he felt it out on the first lap, Jeff. Second lap, looks like he's picked it up quite a bit. Got a little bit loose off turn 4, but did pick it up a little bit up to 3rd, Mike.
All right, David Stremme next. Here's Matt.
Kyle Busch was 2nd and 5th in the 2 practice sessions in nationwide. So you've got the biggest chance to hold on to the new track record. Do you feel like you got a good shot? A lot of cars left to go.
Oh yeah, there's a lot to go. The 18's pretty fast. Denny's pretty good here, always has been. But you know, that team's pretty stout too. They've got good motors. I know, I've been there. So yeah, they've probably got a pretty good shot at beating us. But I can't thank these Behringer guys enough here at Braun Racing for sticking with me and putting this thing back together for me yesterday. We had a great race car, and in final practice there, we were on low air just trying to run a race run, and I got just a little bit out of the groove out of turn 2 and got up in the fence and just killed the thing. So guys stuck with it last night and this morning, got it put back together, and it looks like they were talking about it looks like old street stock, right?
It looks just like an old street stock. My cameraman Dave Stone got a shot down the right side, and it's got the old duct tape numbers. Doesn't get any more retro than that, guys.
It does look like a Band-Aid on the right front corner, and it needs one. Jeff Burton signs an autograph for a young fan as David Stremme comes to the line.
We watch him go into turn 1 right here, Jeff. As he goes to the top of the board, you're right, 28 flat. I'm not going to give you the new track record yet, though.
Okay.
But if you watch him come off turn 2, if you go wide open, the thing you got to do as a driver, a lot of times you get that run. Sometimes you overdrive turn 3, Jeff, because you got so much momentum coming off turn 2 than you had in practice right there.
Oh, and he just about did it.
We just saw it right there.
I'm done. I don't want to tear nothing up.
But that's exactly what happens, Jeff. You wait for qualifying, you hit that perfect lap in 1 and 2, keep it to the mat, come off turn 2, you're carrying so much more speed into turn 3, and what do? You forget to let off in turn 3 and get the thing woed down because a sharper corner in 3 and 4.
Definitely sharper right there. And again, good illustration of what can happen to you, as you said, Herman. Get off down through there. He went down through there just as hard as he could go. Got to that apex point, and it would turn like it needed to, and it got loose. He just about wadded that race car up.
Look, I can tell you, as a driver, I've done that. You get through turns 1 and 2, wide open or all but wide open, you say, I made it, my lap's over. You get to turn 3 and 4 and blow the lap, then you've gained nothing.
So David Stremme is the new track record holder at 28 seconds flat. Kevin LePage from Shelburne, Vermont has a 6th place start here in 1999, driving car 99, and he has 1 top 5 finish at Darlington. This will be his 17th race here.
Saw that car of Kevin's bottom out just a little bit entering that turn, and that's not usually a good sign to see a car bottoming out that early as far as interest on the turn, because that can upset the car, and you can't miss your mark by very much here at Darlington.
No, Jeff, car doesn't look happy and doesn't look quick. 30.6. He trails the list by 0.8 of a second. I'm gonna pick up a little here. Looks like.
You know the car can't be happy because Kevin LePage is notorious as being a really good qualifier.
No, he has normally been one of those kind of guys. If you just give him something halfway competitive, Kevin can get up on the wheel and make it happen. And this kind of racetrack is usually the kind that he can excel at. As Mike pointed out, not very good-looking race car. He does pick it up about a second faster than what he ran the lap before, but nowhere near as quick as he needs to be.
Coming up, Kenny Wallace, Kevin Harvick, and David Reagan. Kenny Wallace timing in 7th in the U.S. Border Patrol Chevrolet. Kenny with a lap at 28.87. And Kevin Harvick clocking in 5th with a lap of 28.31 in his Camping World Chevy. 5th quickest for Harvick. That brings David Reagan onto the clock in the Discount Tire Ford.
I talked to David in the garage this morning, asking him, as I asked all the guys, how is turn 1 and 2 with this new pavement, this new engine package, and he said, I snuck my way up on it, and the last round when I tried to go wide open, that's when I got up and got in the wall a little bit in 1 and 2, so he got his Darlington strike too.
Well, it's at least good he didn't go out there and just kind of hang it all on the fence right on the get-go.
David is 4th in nationwide points, 2 top 5s and 6 top 10s this year.
I know the folks at Discount Tire, I mean, they're really excited so far about what's going on with the 6 car this year. If they can just kind of keep that progression up, they feel like they got an excellent chance to not only get to victory lane, but to be a contender for that point championship before the end of the year. Because, you know, David showed last year that he's got the ability to get up there and get it done. And right now, after his second lap, picks up about 3.5 tenths, moves himself up into third. So good, solid qualifying effort right there by the young man from Georgia. Krista.
Well, Mike, down here with another Mike Wallace, and we were talking about the geography of Darlington. And I know it's in South Carolina, but we're talking about specific places on the track. We've got turn 1 over our shoulder. Kind of walk us through this, Mike.
Well, you know, we talked about how fast the racetrack is, but if you look over our shoulder and you look right there in turn 1, the groove is only 1 lane wide. I mean, they put a new coat of pavement on this racetrack, but it's still the same lady in black underneath, and it's incredibly fast. I mean, we watched Through Speed's broadcast today, you know, the Silver Fox, David Pierce, and all his wins, talking about Darrell Walter. But I'm going to tell you right there, that's dangerous, whether you believe it or not, everybody, and it's hard to get in there. And Darrell, I know you're great, man, but that's hard.
It is hard, and you know, the thing is, Mike, I know we say this all the time, television does not do that justice.
No, it sure doesn't, Krista. Mike's nephew, Steve Wallace, had a career best top 5 finish last week after a little bump and run on the final lap. 15th in series points, 8th on his first lap.
You've got to add not only the bump and run, but the discussion afterwards.
Yeah, that too.
That too.
He and Kyle Busch got into it.
Well, he may say that, hey, I didn't really get into it. He came over to me.
Yeah,
but I expressed my displeasure.
Who reached out and grabbed whose helmet?
Well, he might say Kyle started it and I finished it.
Well, I was trying to whisper in his ear, Herman. He wouldn't come a little closer.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah. We were trying to whisper to each other.
8th for Steve Wallace, knocks his Uncle Kenny out of 8th spot.
Steven had to go to a backup car after he got in the wall earlier in practice yesterday.
If you think you know how the Sprint All-Star Race is going to end up, log on to speedtv.com and play the Fantasy Cup All-Star Challenge for free. You can win 2 race tickets with Speed VIP access. Log on to speedtv.com today.
Anybody want to make any guesses on that? Kind of help the fans out.
On who's going to win the All-Star race?
Yeah.
No.
How about you, Herman?
In the All-Star race or the race to get into the All-Star?
All the above.
If I had to pick, I would pick Casey Kane to transfer, and I would pick Dale Earnhardt Jr. to win.
You think your brother's got a chance of getting voted in?
I think he's got a chance of getting voted in. I think he's also got a chance to race his way in because he had a really good test there last week, fastest car in testing.
Jason Leffler has a 5th place start here and a 6th place finish in 5 appearances. 4 top 10s this year has put him 8th in the nationwide standings.
You gonna make a pick?
Oh, I ain't got to. I posed a question.
Oh, you getting me back for not doing the...
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But I am going to vote for your brother to get in there.
I hope he's in there.
I do too.
I find it hard to believe that Casey Kane's not in the All-Star race.
Up against that wall right now, Jason Leffler was rim riding around that corner right there. Cannot believe he did not hurt that car anymore, but he did. I think he just took a little layer of paint off.
8th quickest with 2 nearly identical laps for Leffler. Coming up, Curtis Davis, Clint Bowyer, and Jeff Burton.
He's riding the cushion.
And this track doesn't have a cushion.
Does now.
Curtis Davis coming to the line in the Race Girl Chevrolet. He'll be 13th of 14 with a lap of 29.75. Hoping for his first top 20 start at Darlington. Clint Bowyer is the points leader. Top 10 start every race, winner at Bristol. 8 top 10s, leads the league, but his point lead is a tenuous one, just 9 points.
Does he a little bit surprise you, Mike? Because, I mean, again, he has just been somewhat quiet about the way he's gone about doing his business. I mean, it's not a lot of times real spectacular, but he's always there when it counts, and that's at the end. I mean, just like last week at Richmond, ran a solid race. Nobody could beat Denny Hamlin, but when the door opened up for who could win that race, he stepped right through, took the win. Same way in the Nationwide Series, he's there every week, just kind of like, you know, he's not maybe leading every lap, but he's right there kind of pacing somebody right there, just like he's waiting to pounce.
If you look at old-time drivers and champions, Bobby Isaac comes to mind. He's a fellow who does his talking with his steering wheel and his right foot. Bowyer is on it.
I can say that's a good description right there. Bowyer
on the pole, that is.
Coming.
A new track record on lap 1, 27.94. And now we're within just about 7/100ths of being a full second faster than the old track record held by Ryan Newman. So the BB&T Chevrolet goes to the top of the board, right where he finished up Saturday night at Richmond.
Okay, when you run some of these laps that are a second slower than these, you feel like you're running 200 miles an hour with your hands full. I can only imagine what it feels like to run 27.94 around this place in a nationwide
Good
car.
job there, Clint. That's a little over a half second faster when we run with the Cup car.
That's Richard Childress, kind of like putting it in perspective. You're getting around here pretty quick, young man.
And you notice, as far as we know, he didn't get a response.
No. He's got to catch his breath first.
That's because the stopwatch tells you all you need to know.
Well, you could tell by Clint's interview with Krista, he is more concerned about his Sprint Cup car not being good than he was about his nationwide car being good.
Jeff Burton has 2 poles and 4 wins here in what is now the Nationwide Series. He also has a pair of Cup wins at this track as he gets ready to make his 6th start of 2008.
Yeah, I look for Jeff Burton to lay down a really good solid first lap, and if it really feels good, I think you'll see him kind of turn up the wick a little bit more on the second. At least that's what I expect from the veteran that he is. Looks like it's going to be a pretty good first lap.
It is 4th quickest for Burton, 28.08.
And guess what else? A veteran move. I don't need another one.
Bye-bye.
That's enough.
So well, you know, he stayed in a Holiday Inn Express last night, according to the side of his car. So
probably a lot smarter.
Smart move. Yep.
You think we get Daryl to stand at one of those? Just kidding.
Is the Bellagio affiliated?
I know he's sitting over there listening. Oh, I hear about that one. I'll get a text message here in a minute on my Sprint phone. I'm listening.
He's staying in the Smitty and Van Express.
That's it.
David Rudiman, 6th in the nationwide standings in the Aaron's Toyota. 5 top 10 finishes in 2008. He's only had 2 starts here in this series, and they have not been in the front half of the field. Let's see what he can do.
At that left front, Jeff, right down on the bottom of that racetrack, kind of got it sealed off right there.
Yes, he does. We had a pretty good laugh today on trackside. We had his teammate, Michael McDowell, on our show from the Sprint Cup Series, and he said that David had been doing a really good job of kind of coaching that young man around this racetrack along with their car owner and teammate Michael Walter. And I said, David, I believe. Michael, I'm not too sure.
And you will see trackside tonight here on Speed following the nationwide race on ESPN2. Michael McDowell is the featured guest. Who's that other guy you got on the show?
Junior? Yeah, Earnhardt Jr. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, just him?
Yeah. Something about the Mountain Dew car and the 88 and 11. I mean,
I heard something about that.
Yeah.
Rudiman is 11th with a 28.50. Coming up, Ruben Pardo, Eric McClure, and Mike Wallace.
Car to be on the speedway out of 46, so
Mexican driver Ruben Pardo had a good run in the Supercuts Dodge in Mexico City. Got the chance to run it here in only his 2nd oval track start in the Nationwide Series. And Pardo right now is 18th of 18 with a 29.98. Matt is with the man who's fastest.
Still has that track record. The difference, though, for you between lap 1 and lap 2.
I just try to get more getting into 3 and washed up. I try to arc it a little higher, thinking I'd get a better runoff, and it washed up. But BB&T Chevrolet, Dan and all the guys did a good job. We were fast for a lap, and now we got to be fast for the whole race. I think we can do it. I really feel like after last week, we need a good run here, so hopefully we can get it this week.
Now, back in the earlier practice session, you thought we were done. You were boogieing back to the truck, and Larry Mack had a question. He heard a rumor that you'd been doing a lot of practicing for the Smoky Burnout competition at Lowe's coming up next week, and really, you've only done it once, and that was a stellar performance.
Yeah, I was just down there, you know, for the deal, but no, I didn't. I guess I just wasn't in the mood for an interview.
Well, you wrecked the car, though.
Yeah, and then you had to come up and
well, we were not going to talk about you wrecking the car, but Larry Mack brought it up.
Was that the oh, by the way, Matt, to that for Clint Bowyer? Here's Eric McClure. Best finish of the season, 15th at Talladega. This will be his second start at Darlington in the Nationwide Series. He is 19th with a 30.48. Another of the drivers, Jeff, who've just chosen to get a good solid lap and get in the show.
Again, they understand that they just need to be able to do something like that just to be smart. And Krista, sometimes these drivers, that's kind of a challenge for them.
Absolutely, that is so true. And you know, so one guy who takes challenges head on, though, that's got to be Carl Edwards. And you had, I guess, what you call maybe the thrill of a lifetime recently with Darlington and David Pearson. How did that whole thing transpire? What was that day like?
Yeah, it was really fun. We came out here with the Claritin Fusion, and David, he got the Wood Brothers Old 21 out, and we got to run around the track a little bit about half speed, and it was so much fun. The stuff you saw on camera was good. I'm telling you what, he is a wild man. The off-the-camera stuff was hilarious. I went and picked him up in my airplane, and we flew over here and we got to spend a little time, and then took him home. And I got to be careful hanging around shady characters like that. He could have a bad influence on me. He's just a ball of fire. I can see why he ran so well. He's got a lot of energy. A very cool guy.
Did you just call Pearson shady?
No, I just give him a hard time. He's just a really fun guy. I mean, it's so cool. I heard all these stories. If half of them are true, then that guy is just, he's just wild, a true legend. And to see him go by me and to look over and see a 21 of David Pearson at Darlington, I'll never forget that memory.
That's what makes our sport so great.
Mike, they called him the Silver Fox. They probably should have called him the Sly Fox.
Lock up your hen house.
Oh, wait.
If Pearson's in town.
Not the Shady Fox?
No.
No. He was quite a character again.
A great fellow, great gentleman, yep. And what a credit to our sport. The battles that he and Richard Petty had on track were just the stuff of legends. It was quite back in the day.
How do you compare the driving styles between Carl Edwards of today and David Pearson back in his heyday?
I hate to say it like this, but they really, in my opinion, they don't compare, because I think David, you know, for his time, was probably one of the smartest, you know, racers there was, because he knew how much to extend his equipment, how hard to run, when to run, and it was always like when he finally figured out what you had, then he knew how much to push his equipment. And I just always felt like, you know, if I had to say I wanted to be like somebody driving a race car as good as Richard Petty was, I really would like to have been like David Pearson, because he was so smooth. And for every race that he would show up, you had to always consider him a potential winner. He didn't run a lot of seasons, you know, but when he did, he won championships. One of the best drivers ever come down the pipe.
Absolutely. The three Wallaces are all together on the grid. Family affair in 12th through 14th. Mike, Stephen, and Kenny in that order. There's Brad Keselowski in the Navy Chevrolet, 7th in the point standings, and in the last 8 races has only one finish outside the top 15.
Mike, he had a pretty good lap going. He also got a little bit loose in 3 and 4.
Oh, there he is again.
Yep.
Can't quite keep it off the wall, guys. He's trying all he can, but he is back and forth, back and forth. I think he's just going to have some cosmetic damage, but he did clip that right front fender pretty hard that last time.
7th
I brushed the wall.
That's putting it mildly. 7th on his first lap.
Yeah, that's more than a brush right there, Mike.
Gets in, back in, gets that a little bit, and he kind of like, he chases it, and he gets up against the wall, and he gets loose again. And he's just kind of teeter-tottering with the car bouncing off the wall. He's trying to get it off there, but he's going a little too fast to be able to totally control it.
Believe it or not, Jeff, as you know, with this racetrack like it is, running that close to the wall, that would have been a lot worse at another racetrack had he got loose and caught it and slid all the way up to hit the racetrack. I mean, hit the wall being that close, it could have been a lot worse than it is running that speed.
NASCAR's going to go out, have a look at the racetrack, and we'll take a break from Darlington as the track too tough to tame claims another victim.
I think it's somewhat pancaked.
Sure is. Clint Bowyer fastest so far. 9 more drivers that are locked in, and then we will move to knockout qualifying. Brad Coleman in the number 27, making his first Darlington appearance, 17th in points. Not a bad run.
Not a lot of experience for him, but he made it look easy. Made it look easy.
Krista.
Well, Mike, a lot of the guys are having trouble adjusting to this new pavement, but not if you've never been here. And when I mean never been here, I mean never even come as a fan. Chase Miller, your very first time at this racetrack. What are you thinking right now?
Man, this place is insane. I've never seen the place till yesterday, and it's incredible. I'm just so happy that Motorola and Verizon Wireless are coming on board to help us out, and really looking forward to a great partnership with them and for a really great race tonight. So there's going to be a lot of action going on. It's been real exciting through practice, and it's been one heck of an experience.
Talk about anticipation, and just so you know, guys, 3:21. That was yesterday when he got his first official Darlington stripe.
Boy, he's got a night to look forward to then. Here's the Clorox Ford, the 47 for Kelly Byers. His first Darlington start will be tonight. Started and finished 5th at Nashville, his best of the season. He is 12th in nationwide points.
That could be an interesting stat just to keep up with the guys who've never been here and how they fare tonight.
First lap for Byers, 14th.
He's got a good lap through 1 and 2 coming off. If he doesn't make the same mistakes some of these other guys have done down in turn 3, he's got a pretty good second lap for him.
Just woe it up. That's all he's got to do. Just get it woed up and get it into turn 3.
This is a good looking lap here.
It is. Back to the throttle. Gaining momentum off of turn 4. A very good lap right there by the young man.
6th. He is the second quickest Ford with a 28.23.
Shows a lot of maturity right there, Jeff. I mean, to really get that, know you got a good lap going and to be able to contain yourself to finish it off. Good lap, Kelly Byers.
Krista?
Well, we have some familiar names down here in the garage. I know we're talking about Clint Bowyer and Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards, but what about Matt Yoakum, who's down there interviewing the other guys on the other side? And that's his mom, Mary Yoakum, a special decal here on the car. Happy Mother's Day. Pam Boas, Tony Stewart's mom. The reason they are on the 89 of Morgan Shepherd, you may have heard last week on Tony Stewart's radio show, which Matt co-hosts with him, they talked about helping out Morgan Shepherd, paying for a set of tires. So to thank Matt and Tony and all the folks who've helped out, well, they put their mom's names on the car to wish them a happy Mother's Day. Very nice.
Nice gesture.
Very nice gesture. I guess maybe we ought to take a second here and just go ahead and wish everybody a happy Mother's Day very early to my mother Nancy. And you know, it's great that we are able to take time to reflect on the fact that we've got great moms. If we didn't have them, we wouldn't have the opportunity we're doing right now.
Tony Stewart completing lap 1. Looks like he's going to be on the front row for the time being, Jeff. 27.95 lap 1, but my mom and Elliot's mom, Belle Sadler's here this weekend, and actually, for you fans that want to watch the race day tomorrow, the Real Deal feature will be a feature about our mom, Belle, who is recovering from a battle with breast cancer. We're glad she's here this weekend.
We're excited about her being here this weekend.
Tony's going to be close on lap 2.
I don't think I went faster.
He was right. But he didn't go much slower, only about 4/100ths of a second slower on lap 2.
2 very good laps right there by Tony Stewart, who's not really known to be a great qualifier, but that should put him up there definitely in the battle tonight.
Fastest Toyota is Stewart in the Old Spice car, second. Well, All-Star Weekend will be upon us, starting with the Pit Crew Challenge, Thursday, May 15th, 9 p.m. Eastern. And the following night, the Craftsman Truck Series, right here on Speed, beginning at 7:30. And the main event is just 8 days away, live from Lowe's Motor Speedway and right here on Speed, beginning at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. All-Star Weekend.
Jeff is sitting here, just how interesting it is to watch these guys qualifying to even be talking about a second lap maybe being faster. A lot of guys have run faster on the second lap, and as you said earlier, it used to be you a one and done at this racetrack.
Oh, definitely so. Used to chew tires right off the race car. I mean, again, it'll get back like that, guys. I can promise you that. But I'm sure every one of these drivers are just looking forward to being able to race on this racetrack and have the tires basically go longer than you anticipated, not just be totally out of control all night long.
And talk about pressure. When it was the first lap, was your lap of record for the most part. A lot more pressure on the driver then, because if you didn't get it done in lap 1, you didn't have a second lap. So some of these guys are able to feel it out the first lap, get a good solid lap in, and try to pick it up on the second lap. Last year, that wasn't going to happen.
No, definitely they're getting a second chance. I mean, they can make a little bit of a mistake and come back and redeem themselves, where normally you couldn't do that here at this racetrack.
Derek Cope in the number 4 this week. Interesting paint scheme. Back in the 50s, in fact, since post-World War II, in international auto racing, each country had an assigned set of colors. And if you entered on a car from America, it had to be painted white with a blue stripe. British cars were British Racing green. Italian cars were red. French cars were blue, and so on.
Interesting. I thought maybe it was more like the Herbie the Love Bug type stripe, you know.
But that was red and blue. But, oh well.
Oh well.
Was Grand Prix on last night? On what channel? On Turner Classic Movies. Did I tell you about the Speed Racer Grand Prix connection? Never mind. Marcus Ambrose in the Kingsford Charcoal. Number 59, the Aussie. And I believe the Australian colors, at least on Jack Brabham's car, were green, British Racing green, because Australia was a British protectorate with a gold stripe.
That sounds right. Looks to me like the Tasmanian Devil is just going to sneak up on this racer. Got very close to that wall. He used up every inch of that racetrack.
14th.
I tell you, y'all talk about it. We heard you guys talking about it on Sprint Cup practice too. This is just a very, very narrow racetrack. When you put the safer barrier in, it made it that much more narrow. I mean, not a lot of room for error on this racetrack.
No, and again, you talk about that. What that safer barrier took up was that little bit of, you might say,
wiggle room.
Yeah, wiggle room. Again, he's
like
right there, right up against that wall. If that safer barrier hadn't been there, he'd have been 1.5 feet off. But in that case, he was about 1/4 inch off.
Slower on lap 2. Well, let's see what kind of mischief Mary and Pam's sons are up to.
Well, Mike, first off, I got to put a period on Grand Prix. And if you fell asleep watching Grand Prix and you woke up about midnight, To Please a Lady with Clark Gable was also on. Old school. We're talking old school racing movies. Talking old school racetracks, though. One of 4 places you never won a Sprint Cup. It'd be great to start a winning weekend here tonight with this car.
Yeah, I'm real proud of Dave Rogers and all these guys. I mean, everybody knows they're the hottest team in the Nationwide Series right now. So them and the 18 cars. So just proud of everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing and all these guys that have worked so hard on this Old Spice car. They've done a great job. Right now, I think we're second. So I told him, I said, I'm not running wide open through 1 or 2. I don't care what you say. I know I got to make my car. You know, whatever you do to it in qualifying, you don't get that luxury of beating the body back out. And so I told him, I said, I'm not going to take a chance on beating the thing up for 2 laps when we got to run a lot more than that later on tonight.
Well, we want to thank Morgan Shepherd, very classy move. Thanked Harvick's mom, your mom, and my mom, beating us all to wish them Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, and he's got them on the car too, so that's really special. Hopefully they don't get nicked up at all today, but it's all about placement where they're at. But no, it's great. I mean, Morgan's been so good to the sport, and I'm still living off of his 13th place run at Talladega. That's the part that I'm so impressed with and proud of, and just happy he had a good weekend, and thankful that he paid tribute to our mothers that way.
Tell him it's okay, Matt. The names are on the left rear quarter panel, not the right, the one that usually gets wiped off. Carl Edwards driving the Scott's number 99. This week it's the Scott's Water Smart Ford. It's been 31 races since he won in this series. And Jack Roush pleased with Carl's run, which is a new track record.
That was fun. Good work.
We're getting there.
Hey, Matt was getting ready to have a great interview when you go there, and the driver asked the reporter, what are you talking about? You know you're in for a good interview when that happens.
Grab another gear and go. Mike Bliss, Mikasuki Indian Gaming Chevrolet. James Finch, number 1. 4 top 10s for Mike in the last 4 races. That is the longest current streak in the Nationwide Series.
And Mike usually gets around this track pretty good, Jeff.
Yeah, he does. He's a good, smart racer, whether he's running the Nationwide Series, Sprint Series, or the Craftsman Truck Series around here at Darlington. Very talented. Again, 4 straight top 10 finishes in this car has got him up to 5th in the points. And I think it's just a matter of time before he breaks through and gets back to victory lane driving for James Finch.
He is the highest driver in the point standings who is not a claim jumper from the Cup Series.
Showed me a lot about his ability when he changed teams right in the middle of a 10-race stretch, jumped right in the other car, picked up right where he left off.
7th on his first lap, gaining on it.
And Hermie, when you say that, it takes a while sometimes to communicate with the team. So him being able to do that right there shows that Mike's a great communicator as well as a very talented driver.
And able to adapt to another car, another crew chief. A lot of talent right there in Mike Bliss.
All right, let's go back to Mary's boy with Nancy's son.
And catching up with the guy who has the track record now by about 2/10. That's all you had?
I know we're trying to grow some grass here with the water smart cover. That was nothing like watching grass grow.
Your hands were still shaking when you got there.
Yeah, I told my guys I didn't know what to do. We didn't make a mock run, so I just didn't know how hard to go. So probably went a little harder than I should have, but they did a really good job. And man, it's growing on me. The surface is growing on me. I was really mad about it yesterday, but that lap kind of made it better. And I just hope we can get our Cup car this fast. That was fun.
All right, thanks, Carl.
Thanks.
That was 1.13 seconds faster than the old track record. That was fast.
That was fast, especially when he didn't know he was going to go that fast.
Jason Keller is from South Carolina. He has a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 4th place finish here, and 2 outside poles. He's had 8 top 20s in 2008, driving the America's Incredible Pizza Chevrolet.
Jason, a South Carolina native, he's always enjoyed coming to this racetrack. Always got around this racetrack very well, but just like last week with us being at home in Virginia, Jason just loves coming to Darlington to be in South Carolina, race in front of a lot of family and friends.
22nd on his first lap with a 28.95, and this lap will be right on top of that. 1/100th of a second quicker. Chase Miller is next, and then we'll move to knockout qualifying with 15 drivers hopeful of 13 starting positions.
You know what you say then, Mike? Business is going to pick up.
Yes, sir. Chase Miller. Kristen spoke to him a little bit ago. He's in the Verizon Wireless number 9.
Sweet looking race car right there, Jeff.
I like it. I really do. It's a good looking race car out of the Evernham stables.
Chase finished 14th at Nashville earlier this year. He is one of 12 drivers seeing Darlington Raceway from the driver's seat for the first time this weekend.
Again, he's not what you say overly attacking the racetrack, but he's nice and smooth, letting it float down there and giving himself a little bit of a margin for error off that wall, not really flirting with it. Again, you can get a lot more speed out of this racetrack if you want to go up there and let it run. It was right up there close to the wall, but sometimes that's not the smartest thing to do.
I tell you, this second lap looking very good through 1 and 2 after putting it in the show solidly with a 16th run.
Well, I was going to go back and say, let's just remember something, guys. Chase has not been on this racetrack since yesterday. Some of these guys that have been up here like Carl Edwards, they were practicing for a couple hours here, and they kind of got a feel for the racetrack. He had to get out here, get up and come out here to this racetrack that he's never raced on and say, okay, again, I'm at Darlington, where do I need to be? Get that rhythm back out. So did a really good job.
He's got a lot to be proud of. He is 13th right now as we move into knockout qualifying next. Morgan Shepherd From Conover, North Carolina, the Victory in Jesus Racing Dodge has been running here since 1984. And you see all those moms represented on the left side of his car. He is 23rd with a 2890. Is that going to be enough?
Not bad.
I believe that's going to get him in, boys. I really do.
Sam Hornish Jr., first time here.
You know, Morgan's got a sponsor on that car now. You got to step it up, get in for the sponsors. Pam and Matt's mom and all them might cut the funding off if you don't get that thing in the show.
Sam Hornish has 3 starts in 2008. He's finished in the top 20 each time. Penske Dodge.
He was pretty good in practice the other day, Mike. I mean, if he can just go back out there and just put a good smooth lap down, he should be able to get this number 12 into the race fairly easy.
He is one of 12 drivers attempting to do double duty.
You know, they had a lot in the paper this past week about that he's committed now to drive stock cars, not worried about going to Indy because, you know, they're practicing up there now, getting ready for the big 500 later on this month. And I just wonder what he thinks about Darlington. I mean, there's a lot of people. Do you remember when A.J. Foyt showed up down here and they made him take the rookie test back when they had that as part of the tradition here?
We were talking about that earlier. Boy, was he hot.
Oh, he was. I mean, those guys were messing with him. But, you know, again, this is a racetrack that has taken the measure of some of the best in the world. And right now, looks like Sam's got a pretty good lap coming back here to the start-finish line. If he can just get it off of turn 4, flirting with a top 10 starting position.
Nice lap for Hornish, 11th with a 28.26, and certainly that'll be good enough to race here tonight. Coming up, Johnny Chapman, Todd Bodine, and Bernie Lamar. Johnny Chapman for MSRP Motorsports clocks in at a 29.30. That will lock Sam Hornish into the field and puts Chapman 27th right now.
I think that 29.30 is kind of flirting with the edge right there, Mike. I really do. I think if you can run down in the 28s, you've got an excellent chance of making this race. But anything up there in them 29s, I think are going to be kind of dicey.
Good point. Here's the Germain Toyota for Todd Bodine, who has been racing here since 1991 when he came here for Frank Cece. Started 21st and finished 5th. He only has 1 nationwide start this season. That was Las Vegas. He is 3rd in the Truck Series.
First lap good enough to get him in this race right here. I think that he's definitely going to try to pick it up here on the 2nd lap.
I tell you, this racetrack being in this condition where you can run a faster 2nd lap really gives these guys, the go-home guys, a break. They can go in like a guy like Todd Bodine, get a good solid lap in and try to step it up and try to get up closer to the top 15 on lap 2.
Right, his first lap did lock him in, and the 2nd lap is quicker, moves Todd up to 14th. Coming up, Bernie Lamar, Carl Long, Stanton Barrett as knockout qualifying continues. Californian Bernie Lamar is driving the Greg Biffle Foundation Ford this weekend, and he will race tonight with a lap of 28.79. He is in, and the bottom 2 remain, Morgan Shepherd and Johnny Chapman, as Carl Long comes out in the red line oil Dodge.
Carl Long is what you call a true racer, does whatever he can do to stay involved in the sport and get something to the racetrack, Jeff.
Yeah, he loves to drive race cars. I mean, it's always working, putting deals together and trying to, you know, get in some series just so he can get some laps and race. I mean, he just loves to race.
Never forget, probably 5-6 years ago now, off the wall, right there off turn 2, Jeff.
Yeah, he did. Again, trying as hard as he can.
Trying a little too hard, Jeff. He needed a big pickup on lap 2 and did everything he could to get it.
He didn't get out of it.
This is what he's talking about, Herman. He's talking about he's a racer. He's got his foot in it. He knows he's hurt, but he said, I'm going to go for it, guys. No, my friend, you didn't hit it a little bit. You hit it a lot.
And the 2nd lap was quicker, but now Carl Long moves into the bottom 2, and this will lock Morgan Shepherd into the race.
Exited this turn, he got back in the throttle. The car just didn't stick, and bam, Wall just jumps out there at you.
But every time I think about Carl Long, I think about him qualifying for the Coca-Cola 600 and working a deal with Darrell Walker to get him in that race to start it that night.
Yep.
Don't miss the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race coming up 1 week from tomorrow. for your chance to play the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Watch and Win contest. One grand prize winner will win a trip to the 2009 All-Star race and much more. SpeedTV.com has all the details. So Morgan Shepherd locks in, and the bottom two become Johnny Chapman and Carl Long. Here is stuntman Stanton Barrett carrying Speed Racer on his nationwide car this week. Movie's in theaters now.
Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go.
Y'all
I used
full of
to
tunes
like
today.
that, man.
Yeah.
Just all wound up.
Very nice, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to do Spider-Man, but, you know, because he does a lot of Spider-Man movies.
He is Spider-Man.
Exactly.
That's right. He did not act in the Speed Racer movie, however, but he went to the premiere and they decided to sponsor it.
Hey.
Get some more attention for the movie, which is running right now and filling up theaters with young boys who want to be racers.
Again, what's amazing, too, is that Stanton, he loves this racetrack. Again, he's one of those race car drivers that he understands the challenges of this racetrack, and he loves to come here and race it whenever he gets an opportunity, and he will tonight because he qualifies 22nd.
So the bottom two are still Johnny Chapman and Carl Long.
Timing light, and that will
Brett Rowe is trying to make his first Darlington start in the Certainteed installation. Number 05, it would be his 10th start of 2008. And here's what happened up in turn 4, coming to the white flag.
Then that back straightaway.
by Mr. Rowe.
Rolls off down in turn 3. Car starts up, and I mean, it just never takes a sip, Mike. I mean, it just comes out on him, and again, trying to keep it off the outside wall, but he still, you know, collects part of it, and some damage. I mean, I'm not going to say it would have been enough to keep him from making another lap, but he just didn't have the confidence, I don't think, to go back and try to hook it up and go again.
Hey, and what did Darrell Waltrip say about qualifying? What we're going to see with this and Sprint Cup qualifying, it might not be the fastest 43 cars, but it'll be the 43 cars that go make a good solid lap and not make a mistake.
Yeah, make the least mistakes. And right now, as far as Matt Kenseth is concerned, he's hoping that that racetrack is clean and green because he's the next guy's got to roll off and challenge the track too tough to tame.
So Brett Rowe's run should lock Johnny Chapman into the race, and it leaves Carl Long and Rowe as the bottom two.
I think we need to point out, we talk about Matt Kenseth, he's coming up, Kenny Hendrick, but right down there next to last is a guy who was the fastest during practice yesterday, Denny Hamlin. So track should be cooling down. We got a little bit of clouds hanging around here, and Hermie, as a driver, you know, if you can just catch you a cloud, sometimes that's worth a couple of tenths. And Carl Edwards may not be totally feeling confident that he's going to be starting on the pole until Denny Hamlin makes his run.
A little bit of cloud cover, a little bit of a cool racetrack not only helps the car grip better, but helps that old brain up there, Jeff, makes the driver feel like he can go faster, and that means a lot.
And sometimes that mental part can be good, and sometimes, as Darrell has been pointing out all day long, here at Darlington, it could give you a false sense of security that the racetrack's going to hold you.
Well, Denny Hamlin's not short of confidence. When I talked to him early today about 1 and 2, can you run wide open? He said yes, and it's uneventful, so we'll see.
So here is Matt Kenseth in the City Financial Ford. His first race here in what was then the Busch Series was in 1997. He started 14th and finished 12th. And then he ran off a string of 11 straight top 8 finishes that included 2 wins and 2 second places.
And Jeff, when you think about a guy at Darlington of what you have to do at this racetrack as far as pushing your equipment but also being smart, Matt Kenseth comes to mind. This is his kind of racetrack.
It really is. Again, Matt is a very smart and very precise racer, and he usually just takes what the car will give, and he does respect the racetrack a lot.
When Matt Kenseth and his team are on their game, of all the drivers in the garage and teams, they remind me most of David Pearson and the Wood brothers.
You got it, Mike. That's a very good analogy, and it's kind of interesting to see him driving here the number 17.
Oh, yes. Number made famous by Holman Moody.
Yep. Pearson won a lot of championships and a lot of races driving that number 17 car.
And
he's in.
Yeah, and he's doing what a veteran you would think he'd do. Got a good solid lap in the first lap, get him in the show, try to pick it up a little bit on lap 2, get a little bit closer to the front.
So Kenseth is in 17th on the first lap. And the bottom 2 remain Carl Long and Brett Rowe as Matt picks it up to the top 10, 8th fastest.
Very good lap and very smart approach to this qualifying by Matt Kenseth.
And you would expect no less. And we still have six drivers to go, with 2 to go home. The 31 is Californian Kenny Hendrick. This is the grandstave.com Chevrolet on the entry list. He's trying to make his 3rd start of 2008 and his first at Darlington. He has to beat a 29.68. That's where Carl Long is right now.
Have to pick it up from practice. His fastest lap of practice, Mike, was a 30.73, so he will have to step it up a little bit, which is possible here at Darlington.
Yeah, he's got to find a little over a second to be able to knock Carl Long out of the race. Again, Carl, shot him up the racetrack right on the entry. He's really hit the racetrack hard. A lot of sparks underneath the car.
From the left rear and the right front, Jeff.
Yeah.
He's close.
And what happens?
He's close. A 67. He's in. By 1/100th, he's going to race.
Shoo.
And Jeff, as you know, what happens if you run a 30.67 in practice, you pick it up a second, that car is going to travel a lot more. You're going to pick up a lot more shock travel, and you're going to bottom out in places you didn't in practice, but just because of running faster.
And he just bottomed out again and shot up that racetrack. And if I was a crew chief on that car, I'd be turning the radio on and say, we're in, park it before you knock the wall down, my friend. And very good point. You're exactly right.
Second lap is faster. Kenny Hendrick is 33rd. He will race tomorrow. And the bottom 2 remain Carl Long and Brett Rowe. With the Sprint fan vote, you can help put your favorite driver in the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race on May 17th. Just text the word NASCAR to 7777 on your Sprint phone for details, or go to a Sprint retail store, the Sprint website, or NASCAR.com for more info. Mike Harmon in the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store, number 84, trying to get his car into the show, but 30.46 is going to put him in the bottom 2. Instead, Harmon locks Carl Long into tonight's race.
And what that means is Carl Long's efforts paid off.
On that second lap.
On that second lap right there, him keep puffing like he did, even though he bounced it off that outside wall, got him into tonight's race. And I don't think that car is hurt that bad.
So Mike Harmon and Brett Rowe are the bottom 2. Danny Efland is our next qualifier. 4 cars to go. Efland in the number 0 Lori Morgan Chevrolet.
The thing about Carl Long, he'll be one of the guys in there hammering on that car to get it fixed. You can guarantee you that.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now for Danny Efland, his mission is to run just a little bit better than Mike Harmon. All he needs to run is like a 30.45, and that will get him into this race tonight, and he can get it back here to start-finish line. It looks like he's going to do it very handily.
So the Irmo, South Carolina native is in the show with a 37th place run of 29.75. Mike Harmon, Brett Rowe remain the bottom 2 with 3 cars to go.
I'm going to say it again. Somebody should have been on the radio saying, hey, where are you going?
Yeah, it's not like Ernie Banks is saying, let's play 2.
No.
You're in the show. Got to go. Second lap, right on top of the first, 5 1/1000ths different. So a solid run by Danny Efland, and he will race tonight.
Well, a solid run there. A good effort on the part of Danny Efland. That's E-F-L-A-N-D.
Mother's Day tomorrow. Congratulations to the Vaughns. Big Mike and Melissa welcoming Addison at 9 pounds 7 ounces, and going to be a month old for Mother's Day. Mike Harmon and Brett Rowe are the bottom 2. Terry Cook is this week's driver for MSRP Motorsports, and the veteran of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, where he has 6 career wins. This will be his first start of the Nationwide Series. He has to beat 30.46 to get past Mike Harmon and Brett Rowe. by the tracker. It looks like he'll do that handily.
Terry's raced here before in the Craftsman Truck Series, but I'm sure he's probably, like everybody else, pretty amazed that this racetrack is as smooth as it is, and how much grip it's got, and speed is potentially in this racetrack as he brings it down the bank and off of turn 4 and uses every bit of it up.
Yeah, and how close that wall is. That's Phil Carson's on the radio to Terry, who is in the race, 31st.
3. Nice job, buddy.
Yes, it is. And he's one and done.
That is a good move.
Now we're getting ready to see what's going on.
Because Mike Harmon and Brett Rowe are the bottom 2, and there are 2 cars to go.
And
one of them is Denny Hamlin, who is fastest in practice. So you know Hamlin is either going to be in the top 10 or else.
Is he going to downtown Florence? I think he's going to run one of those really smart laps, and I think he's going to just take what the track gives him. I know he'd like to sit on the pole, but I believe that everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing right now is saying, Denny, the pole would be nice, but a complete race car after this qualifying run would be better.
I think Denny Hamlin's a guy we talked about as a chance to get in that record book. I think he's a guy that I think he's going to stand on it.
This is the Farm Bureau Insurance Camry. I wonder what the deductible is on right sides.
You know, I noticed on this, Jeff, when he pulled it, he's got sticker tires on. We saw a lot of guys with scuff, and he's got stickers on this car.
Yeah, I know he does. And again, that was one of the questions in the Sprint Cup Series is whether you go on stickers or scuffs. And I think Denny was one of the guys who was trying to make up his mind what to do. And Mike, you ask a very good question, but I'll have to check my policy because my insurance is with these guys.
Pole shot so far for Hamlin.
There you go.
Oh, pow! What'd I say?
He stood on it. But
he stood on it. But the problem is right now, guys, he has got to try to finish this lap, but he can't. He's got too much damage.
We got a qualifier. We're out.
There you go. He's got to stand on it, and he can't do it. He's got too much damage. He's out.
All he had to do was get around the track in 45 seconds to beat Brett Rowe. But Denny Hamlin takes the fastest car in practice and puts it in the fence.
Right car there. Never hooked up, and Hermie, go back to what you said. Sticker tires. Could have been the
first time. I've been watching every car drive on this racetrack. The first stickers that I saw rotating, leaving pit road. But you're right, Jeff. He didn't do the smart thing. He went for the pole. You could tell he never lifted getting in turn 1. Car didn't stick. Going home.
Did not feel it out. He was all or nothing. And right now, you can see the car definitely could not make a second lap of any kind of qualifying effort. Not like we saw earlier with Carl Long. Way too much damage.
Has Denny Hamlin had a tough 6 days or what? Saturday night at Richmond, right front tire after leading 381 laps. Here he's fastest in practice. Goes into the wall with the right front, while on what could have been a record-setting pole run, but instead Hamlin goes home and Mike Harmon will race tonight.
Bittersweet sometimes, Mike. That's the one thing about our sport. From time to time, it can be bittersweet. And again, one of the beneficiaries has to be Carl Edwards, and not going to say anything that about the 02 car not being able to put a challenge against Carl Edwards. But I think Carl knew if there was a car left out there on the grid that could probably challenge him, it would have been Denny Hamlin.
Well, Andy Ponstein did not break 31 seconds in the Stock Classic Racing Chevy, so Ponstein's just going to try to beat Brett Rowe's 45 seconds. And there's a pretty good chance Ponstein can get in the show.
Again, all he has to do is go out and lay down a really smart lap because, again, he ran fast enough in practice to do that.
As soon as NASCAR checks and makes sure that the track is clear, they are picking up some debris up between 1 and 2, high on the banking.
I'm like you, Jeff, but that's just it's a tough spot for Denny Hamlin to be in, knowing the kind of competitor he is with a fast race car. I want to get on the pole, but you got to be smart when all you got to do is he can run around 75% and get this car in the top 5.
Well, but let's go back and let's just try to look at it like this. In his mind, he may have been under control. And again, we talk about the tires. We don't want to second guess the crew chief and the team for making that decision. But this particular set of tires, you've driven enough to know you can put on 10 sets of tires, and you may find 3 of them that feel the same, but the other 7 all have a different feel to it. And that car could have went in and done something totally different. And what got him in trouble, he could have been attacking this racetrack and saying, I'm going to run a 35-second lap, but it did not hook up. That car looked like it never did take a set entering turn 1.
And that's something we normally don't have to talk about here whether you want stickers or not. In years past, it's no question you want stickers every time you go on the racetrack. But here is he made a decision to go with stickers. But who knows if that contributed to the accident. But, well, unfortunate.
Also, look at the string that Hamlin was trying to extend. The last 2 times he'd been here in a Busch car, he'd sat on the pole and won the race. So he was going for the three-peat and ends up going home. So now it's Andy Ponstein or Brett Rowe.
Listen, y'all talk about it sometimes, that risk-reward factor there. He stepped over the line. It just doesn't take much at this racetrack to step over that line.
And as Darrell Walton and all of us have been talking about all day long, you got to remember where you are. This is Darlington, and she will reach out and she'll trick you. Just when you think you're feeling pretty good about her, she will mess you up.
But think about all this drama we're having with guys on the racetrack one at a time. Think about when you put 43 of them on the racetrack together.
I can't wait to watch. I can tell you that tonight, and particularly tomorrow night, is Andy Ponstein. He's coming.
And he's going to do it. Andy Ponstein with his best lap of the weekend, 30:07. He will start 41st. Brett Rowe and Denny Hamlin are the drivers knocked out in qualifying. Andy, you're in the show.
I was going to say, somebody needs to be talking to somebody. He didn't watch the 11 car very well.
This lap's going to be a little better. It is by 100th. So Carl Edwards gets his 8th career Nationwide Series pole. His last pole was 51 races ago at Lowe's Motor Speedway, October 2006. It's his first pole at Darlington, second for Ford in 2008, 59th career pole in the series for Roush Fenway Racing. And Carl is the fastest of 27 drivers, Krista, to beat Ryan Newman's old track record.
That's right, Mike. He is the fastest. He is happy, but kind of bummed for Denny Hamlin. You were watching that lap. You came out and said, man, that's just a shame.
Yeah, I know the fans had to like it. We were all glued to the television in there, and I saw the ticker. He was faster than us going into turn 1, and it's great to be on the pole. I mean, our Scott's Water Smart Fusion is fast, and our guys worked really hard, but I wanted to see what Denny would run there, and I feel bad for him. I mean, he laid it out there, and I kind of did the same thing, and luckily my car stuck and looked like his was just too loose. But definitely a great effort on his part, and I hope he doesn't hang his head too low. I hate to see a whole team like that, lose in one corner.
Carl on the pole in the Nationwide Series. He sat on the pole here in a truck. What was that? 2004, I think, Mike.
Carl Edwards will start from the pole. Clint Bowyer, Ford, Chevy front row. Tony Stewart's Toyota, David Stremmy's Chevrolet. And here's the rest of the top 10.
Good run for Kelly Byers right there in 10th place. Sam Horner's pretty good run. Brad Keselowski, Jeff, be interesting to see if he can get that car fixed. He pancaked the right side.
And it's not that bad, but the guy you're going to be watching back there on row 9, Kevin Harvick, I'm sure he'll be making his way up toward the front, along with David Rudiman on row 11.
Look back through the rest of the field, back through 40th position. And there are the final 3 that survived knockout qualifying.
They survived.
Oh, yes.
Did what they had to do.
Not the fastest 43 cars. The 43 cars that made it back in one piece.
The race is tonight on ESPN2. And Steve Burns after the break with Go or Go Home.